going live. So, hi everyone. We are here today to welcome in somebody who I have the pleasure to work with for a few years now. And this is somebody who really has just seems to have energy that doesn't stop. And his name is Chris Kendall. And we'll be going to Chris in a moment because of the fact that I think there are a lot of people in this community. Can you all hear me? Just nod yes if you can, please. Thank you. There are a lot of people in this community who have come and gone and not stayed around. There are a lot of people in this community who have stayed for the long term. And as Phil and I were just speaking about, there was a point where it was this whole community was so huge that when we did an event, we were overwhelmed. More people showed up than we could manage. I didn't know what to do with so many people because I wasn't prepared. I didn't know I needed assistance. And Phil was just telling me, Phil, would you mention what you were saying before? Just unmute yourself. And then afterwards, the whole rule here is you mute yourself when you finish speaking and you unmute when you are about to speak. So our co-host, Phil, could you just come on and just let us know what you were saying before about the event in Brighton?
Yeah, so what I was talking to Dorit about was we organised a raw food event in Brighton in the UK in 2006, and we had 1,000 people through the door. We didn't charge. We gave them free entry, and now I wish we'd have just charged them £1 because it would have really helped with funding the event. But you know, hindsight's a great thing, right? So we didn't charge. It was free entry. We had 1,000 people through the door, and we had some great speakers. I think all of our speakers were actually UK based, but it's the lady, I'll give her a little shout out, Sue. She did a fantastic job. You know, I was really supporting her because she built us a little website, and she did all the advertising and got local radio involved. She was just incredible. So big love to her for that. And thanks for everyone that supported us back then.
Yeah, yes. It was, the community was very huge. And I think that Chris is going to help us to grow it a little bit more. That's why I mentioned this at the beginning, because we really need people who are very committed, and he's done something that I think is really important. He's taken Doug Graham's 80-10-10 diet book, and he's created a course with it. And the course is available in the Ultimately Raw Vegan Bundle. Chris, welcome, and let us know who you are, what are you doing?
I was just eating a little bit of an iceberg lettuce burrito with some kind of tasty orange avo slaw, but I'm doing really great. I'm blessed to be on here with you, and so stoked to be a part of the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle and create that 80-10-10 masterclass with Dr. Doug Graham. Myself, you know, I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I met Dr. Graham in 2004 after about 4.5 years of transitioning towards a raw vegan diet, starting in '99. That was where I met Food Fit for Life, and you know, just started eating fruit for breakfast and progressively adding more and taking stuff away. And Doug really, he changed my life. Like the day I met him, the next day I went raw, and I haven't looked back. Before that, like I said, I'd been researching health and nutrition for 4.5-5 years since '99, and I had no intention of using it as a career at all. I just wanted to do it to further my skateboarding. I've been skateboarding since I was 5 years old. I just wanted to heal faster and perform better. And Doug gave me the tools, and when he gave me that, my heart just blew open, and I was like, this is why I'm here on the planet. You know, like I'm vegan for the animals and raw vegan for my own health and for the ecology and everything that it brings. And over the years, Doug and I have gotten closer, and I've, you know, been to his house a whole bunch, and you we've co-written another book, a recipe book back in time called Simply Delicious American Classics. And we've spoken from the same stage and a whole bunch of stuff. But when I approached him about the bundle, Lissa from Raw Food Romance, we started this bundle 5 years ago. This is our 7th one, bringing people in the raw food community together, putting a little fire under them, not cooking their food, just putting a fire under them to get them to bring out their creativity, to, stop procrastinating, percolate, be ready, put it out, to grow this scene. And when I kind of poked Doug and I was like, man, like, I would love you to be in the bundle. He has been in the past, but it's been a few years. And I pitched him the idea of an 80-10-10 masterclass, and he was like, let's do it. Let's just do it. So that's where it really began. And it ended up being like 9 2 to 4 hour Zoom calls, diving into the questions that I've been thinking about and gathering, and trying to make sure that we put together the most comprehensive add-on to the book, the 80-10-10 diet, which so many people consider the Bible of the low-fat raw food movement, or fruit-based raw food movement. And it came together amazingly. It's really, really in depth, and the course structure itself is really fun, dripping out over a 7-week period, 5 different modules, 29 videos, and like 17 and a half hours worth of real great gems from Dr. Graham, going in more depth than he has anywhere else.
So would you say this is like a revision of the original 80-10-10 diet book?
No, I wouldn't say it's a revision at all. Like Dr. Graham has actually expressed himself that he thinks it's in the single digits of like direct carryover. Of course, there are the framework of the 80-10-10 diet, but it hits it from different angles and helps with the application. So the 80-10-10 diet is, the information, and this is the application of it, and different views of how to actually put it into practice and to make it more accessible, more streamlined, more easy, more fun, flexibility where it's more warranted, and just bringing newer information, as well as just the mastery that comes with, he's wrote that back in 2008, over a 5-year period before that. So it's almost been 20 years. It's been like 18 years, and so it goes on top of that, and it is actually really cool and interesting to note that in module 1, video 1, a PDF of the 80-10-10 diet is included. So that's actually in there as well. And every single video as well has a handout with a synopsis of the video itself, so you can really drive those main points home, as well as a handout for action steps so that you can actually apply the information and grow through that.
And what would you say is for you the most important aspect of putting this into a course? Because putting a course together is a tremendous amount of time and demands a lot of dedication.
Well, I mean, one, like I said, Dr. Graham has impacted my life more positively than like anything in the world. Like it's completely redirected my life and my vocation, and brought so much vitality and happiness. And I love working with Doug and himself, and I just saw this as an amazing opportunity. I've built another course before called the Raw Vegan Lifestyle Success System, and I have a platform that works really, really well for course creation. So I was already familiar with that. And I just really wanted Doug to be a part of the bundle. And initially, I was kind of pitching it as like a 2, 3, maybe 4 hour long course, like a mini course. But once we actually dug in, Doug was like, let's do this right. Like, let's like fully go into it. And yeah, I just really honored, because, 80-10-10, the 80-10-10 diet's an absolute classic. And, that he trusted me with his baby and did this together with him. And it just is the perfect timing for it, really. And just so happy that he decided to do it and launch it in the bundle for a ridiculous deal, because it's going to be $749 after the bundle. I don't know when we're going to actually relaunch it after the bundle, but we will. And that's the price we decided upon, is $749. And I think that's actually a steal, to be very honest. So to have it included for the launch, we had that discussion when we were about 2/3 of the way through building it, the filming the Zoom videos about, okay, Doug, like this has gotten a lot bigger than we initially thought about. Do you want to still have it in the bundle? If you don't, I totally understand. We could just launch it separately. And we talked about it. He's like, nope, let's do it. This is going to help a lot of people. It'll clear up some information and misinformation and misconceptions about raw foods, about the 80-10-10 diet, about the application of it, and can just really help a lot of people. And so, yeah, we were launching it in the bundle, but this is the only time it's ever going to be a special deal like this. That's for sure.
That is a steal, actually. It's not a special deal.
Yeah, it's a steal. It's amazing.
So for the people who've never heard of the 80-10-10 diet, could you give a short overview, please?
Yeah, for sure. So the 80-10-10 diet is a calorie-nutrient ratio. And basically what it's suggesting is that 80% or more of your calories come from carbohydrate on a raw food diet. That's going to be basically fruit. That 10% or less on average comes from fat and from protein. It's really a fruit-centric approach in terms of calories, but in terms of volume, a lot of people get this wrong. In terms of volume, there's about the same volume of vegetable as there is fruit in for the most part. It's a lot of vegetables, from fruit vegetables to greens to heartier vegetables if desired. And, Doug didn't actually invent the 80-10-10 framework. He borrowed that from, learned that from, the best sports nutrition, from longevity nutrition, from learning what works best for blood sugar response, and oxygen carrying capacity, there's health and fitness, everything, and tied that together and brought that into the raw food scene, because there's lots of vegan doctors promoting a lower fat approach and showing that works best for disease reversal, longer lived life and overall health. And he basically just fitted that in for a raw food diet, because before that he was having trouble staying on a raw food diet, figuring out exactly how to make it work. And then when all the pieces fell together and he adopted it, and really coined the phrase 80-10-10, it just, all the pieces fell together and it became easier and easier to maintain and thrive instead of just trying to survive a raw food diet.
And so how did you and Lisa come up with the idea of this bundle, and who came up with it first? And tell us the history and story behind it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, it is kind of funny. This is no word of a lie. But we were both thinking at the same time. Both of us had been a part of different plant-based and vegan bundles. And this would have been in 2020, 21, like 20 was when we were starting to do the bundles. 19, 20, we were doing other bundles. And both of us were just thinking like there needs to be a raw bundle. And we were chatting behind the scenes about some stuff. And we've talked with this. Neither of us actually remembers distinctively who said it first, like we should do a raw bundle. But the immediate reaction was like, yes, we definitely should. Like that would be amazing. And we had both at the same time been thinking like this world needs an all raw bundle, but neither of us really felt like we could just handle that ourselves. And when we just mentioned it to each other, we both felt like this is the absolute perfect synergy and such a great match. And let's just do it, And so started reaching out to friends in the raw food community and chefs. I already had like a list of chefs and stuff like that to sometimes either help with events or pass on opportunities that I've been given but wasn't able to do, and brought everyone on board and started putting it together. And that first one was in 2021, and this is the 5th anniversary actually, and we've done 7 of them, because the first year and a half we did it every 6 months. And then we realized that was just too close together and, like threatening burnout for not only ourselves, which there's a lot of work behind the scenes, but burnout for just the chefs, to try and produce stuff. And so we decided to switch it to 1 per year. And yeah, it's amazing. Number 7, 5 years. And so many people have been helped. And some people who bought the first bundle ended up becoming contributors and, getting into the bundle creation themselves. And it's just continually growing this raw vegan and bundle family.
And do you find that you personally, have you found that in doing this, it has changed your own outlook on this community, or it has enhanced you in any way?
it's definitely empowered me a lot and just made me feel more connected and more honored and blessed by the community. Sometimes I can get into my slightly introverted shell and not put myself out there quite as much, and then coming in with a bundle and talking with everyone, and everyone sharing some of the same kind of feelings and fears, or some people sharing that, but pushing past it to share what really lights us up and to share our passions and the delicious foods that we create. It's really inspiring, and seeing it ripple out and connect with more people from different ways of thought or slightly different angles and palettes and stuff like that. I know that it meets more people and is able to help grow this community even bigger. So yeah, I absolutely love it and feel so blessed to be a part of it, and that Lissa and I had that initial conversation, and that spark has blossomed up into a big boulder in the lake, spreading waves way farther and wider, those ripples going further and wider than we could have by ourselves.
And I'd like to actually comment on the fact that it's actually an international bundle.
Yeah.
A lot of the people here are from all over the world, and you have one specific chef called Chef Yin in the bundle all the time. Last year she did this incredible ebook, and I think it might have been a course too. No, or maybe it was the year before. I don't remember anymore. On Korean barbecue.
Oh yes, yeah. I think that was 2 years ago, actually. I could be wrong though. It might have been last year. Yeah, but she is an amazing chef, and she has a really cool book in it this time called Raw Roots, going into her first 5 years raw, and diving deep there. And there are just so many amazing, really, really like fun and talented creators in the bundle. And there's so much different variety, like ranging from information-based stuff to recipes to spirituality to fitness and self-mastery and emotional support, and ebooks and e-courses. And the thing that really differentiates it too, there are no other bundles I've seen where there's a stipulation that everything has to be absolutely 100% brand new launching in the bundle, and so yeah, that's a special thing that you won't see these books again. So if you're looking at anything and thinking, that's kind of cool, whether it's the master class or whether it's a specific recipe book or any other kind of guide, now's the time to check it out.
Also, Chris, this bundle has something. I'm usually participating in other bundles, but this one has something other than the fact that it's raw. But it to me, what really makes it stand out is it has this book that everyone contributes to, and it's only available during the bundle, and it's like a collection item that you can never get again. Talk about this, please.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing too, because we've had lots of conversations on that, and it's just like you can't get that outside. Like you said, only the people who get the bundle will actually get to see this one, and every single year it's a different theme. This year, as you can see here, it's raw vegan comfort foods, and that's a mix of savory and sweet recipes that can help you really feel like they stick to your bones, and you feel really hearty and just nostalgic, and from everyone in the bundle who wanted to contribute to it. So you get, again, different cultures and ethnicities and flavors and all their favorites. So that one, yeah, you're not going to see it outside. We had talked about like, oh, maybe we sell it outside, but like, no, it makes it even more special when it's just kept in the bundle, and it's priced, I believe, at $50 itself. Because it's a collaboration book, and Lissa puts it together, and she's very masterful at design and all that, and it honors every single contributor with their links, so you can find out about all the contributors even more easily through there. And maybe you really connect with someone and want to reach out, or you want to dig deeper into their book because you check out their contributions in there. So it's a really fun part of the bundle that can't be understated.
So before we continue, I would like to bring in Herb. Herb, is there anything that you would like to add here, or are there any questions you would like to ask Chris, or would you like to actually bring in some ideas of your own?
Well, I have an immense amount of love and respect for Chris. It's a real joy to share this space with Chris, because he's been an influence on my life and an inspiration, especially with regards to 80-10-10 and being raw, being fruitarian, combining the two. Yeah, it's been beautiful. I remember once I was having some kind of issues that come up. It must have been about 8 years ago when I began my raw fruit journey. And yeah, I used to watch so many videos of Chris's, and I remember just commenting, just something that come up for me I was having issues with, and he responded immediately with a beautiful, kind message and suggestions and ideas, and offered his service, his help, his grace. And yeah, it's very touching. And yeah, what drew me to being raw vegan and going on fruits is obviously I was in search of healing, but there's this frequency that people like Chris were emitting that I picked up on, and it was like an authenticity, love, joy, playfulness, sincere, not serious, no judgment, just a beautiful vibe, and that lured me to it, and I followed it to a T. And I'm a massive fan of 80-10-10 myself. I promote it, I always swear by it. I think it's how most of us, if not all of us, would naturally live. And for me as a cyclist, it's helped me immensely. And yeah, I highly, highly encourage it. And it's great to hear Chris bringing out this bundle to share with others, and with a masterclass. I think it's a beautiful creation. It's quite interesting to hear Chris say that he can be a bit of an introvert, because sometimes you see him can be quite a bit of an extrovert. Like myself, there's a part of me that hides away in my shell with all these ideas and creativity that wants to be expressed, but I sometimes shy away from that. So it's highly encouraging to hear Chris share that as well.
Yeah, in fact, especially when he was the banana commander. There was no hiding behind anything there. So is Phil, would you like, same question to you, same exact suggestion to you. Is there anything that you would like to speak about with Chris today? And have you heard of this bundle ever before me?
Yes, I've purchased this bundle at least twice before, because, you know, I have to admit, I've never opened the bundle to look. Well, that's not true. I've overviewed it, but it's really, these guys are doing such a great job that I buy the bundle to support what they're doing. And I haven't had the privilege of meeting Chris before, nor Melissa. So yes, I bought the bundle at least twice, and I'm considering buying it again this time, because I think they just do such a brilliant job. And it's just, you know, that's the way that I can support what I think is brilliant. And I'm probably going to buy this next bundle as well, because that recipe book sounds perfect for my partner where she's at. And to add in with herb, fruit is definitely the cleanest, highest vibration. I know that when I'm on fruit, I definitely feel cleaner. Yeah, that's an interesting word, isn't it? Cleaner. Just feels, it's just right, and it's my body feels pure. It's just what it needs. And yeah, I first met Doug in 2005. I'd just come back from the Tree of Life training with Gabriel Cousins, and Doug's approach was completely different to Gabriel's, and I really struggled, because it's just like, oh wow, you know, this isn't what I've just spent the last 13 weeks training in. And it made sense. But coming from Gabriel, which is zero fruit, you know, it's no fruit, quite high. It's actually quite high fat when I was doing the Rainbow Green Live Food Cuisine training with him, and I just couldn't get it. You know, I'd had the fruit fear drilled into me. Although I did start a very similar place with Chris with the hygienist diet with Harvey and Marilyn Diamond. That's where I started. So for me, it was all fruit until lunchtime, and that was back in 1999. So, and you know, and then I got into Gabriel's work, and the fruit went out the window, and then Dan McDonald switched me back onto the fruit, and the fruit the fruit and the greens. So yeah, Chris, lots of respect. You're doing a great job, and it's a real privilege to share the screen with you.
Chris, if you'd like.
So freaking honored and humbled by you both. It's this lifestyle brings so much, and I think, like, you know, when you get a taste of it and when you start applying it, it brings so much life into you and brings so much clarity and so much connection to yourself. And you know, it just feels so good too, knowing that it's so powerful for the planet and for the animals, that you can't help but want to spill forth with it. You know, you can't help but want to share about it. And yeah, it's amazing hearing both you guys share, you know, how you've come to find me and how you've come to find the lifestyle itself, and you know, all the things you guys have been doing. That's absolutely amazing. You know, it's like, you can't hear enough how this lifestyle impacts others. And I think that's why, you know, most people who get into it just want to share it. You know, you want to share it. It's like, the water's great. Like, come join us. You know, this is amazing. And I hope to see you guys in 3D sometime too. And yeah, it's Maryland and Harvey in 1999, exact parallels right there, man. That's so dang fun, you know. And I empathize, you know, like starting with fruit and then all of a sudden be like, oh, fruit's bad. It's like, oh gosh, that'd be a little tough reality. So I'm happy to hear that you rounded that corner and enjoy fruit again.
Which brings us actually to Sabina. Sabina, hi. Oh, lovely new background there, Sabina.
So somehow I apologize. I'm not sure what happened to my background. This usually it comes up automatically, and it's not here today. So I'm not sure.
I like what I see. It looks very, very, very lush and foresty. Just very Sabina.
My internal, like my house is a garden. I have like 30 plants in here all over, so it makes it feel like I'm sitting in the garden. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Sabina, I wanted you to respond to what I asked, and I said to both Herb and Phil. First of all, have you ever heard of the bundle, the Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle? Have you had any acquaintance with it? And what do you think that why there's a need for a bundle, and how did you first, remember when you first started out, you actually were introduced to it through reading a book. And do you think the value of doing something like this once a year, which is never available again and only available in a short while, what do you think is the value for that?
Yes, thank you, Dorit, and hello everyone else here. Sorry, I missed the first call, the first, I would say 10 minutes. And I have not heard of let's say I have heard of it a little bit in the grapevine, but I'm myself not familiar with this bundle. And I came across the raw vegan lifestyle through a book that I read in 1995, 1996, so a long time ago, when I just came from Germany on a standard German diet. And it made a huge difference in my life, just switching from meat and potatoes and bread, going to fruits and vegetables and salads. So yes, I totally believe in the raw vegan lifestyle. And I definitely would be interested to hear more about the bundle. So I'm sure Chris can share a link or anything. I can look further into it. But my diet is very simple. I'm actually not a big fan. I know Dorit is big fan of spending a lot of time in the kitchen because I have a very busy lifestyle and I'm a single mother. And it's really, for me, it has to go fast. So I mainly live on fruits and salads. I actually do a little cooked food such as quinoa. I do some steamed beets. So it's usually in the summer, it's salads. In the winter, it's salads and a little bit of cooked items added. So that has worked best for me. And just want to get back to what before was mentioned about Gabriel Cousins. So I was also on mainly a high fruit diet and I absolutely loved it. My digestion very much improved. Actually, it's so nice to have good bowel movements that actually feel good and going to the bathroom a lot and just feeling a lot of energy and not needing a lot of sleep. But for me, the downside was I'm by nature a thin woman, and I got really thin, like beyond thin, to the point that I had my bones sticking out of my chest, bones on my hips sticking out, and I saw myself in the mirror and I got scared. And as a woman, I love my curves. I mean, I love I love being female and feminine and sexy, and I felt I'm not attractive anymore. So yes, I agree with Gabriel Cousens. We need more fat, especially as a woman over 50. So I had to add more fat and more like sprouts and a little more dense items. And that actually made a huge difference for me. So I'm kind of in the middle between the fruitarian lifestyle and also a little bit what Gabriel Cousens mentioned. So I believe we're all individual, we all slightly different. Yes, we're all similar, but we're all different. And we all have different makeups. There's the emotional part to it, the mental part. Also, there's different body types. And I'm an ectomorph, which is there's 3 different body types. And for me, I definitely need little more dense food, and actually adding a little bit cooked items works really well for me. It has not affected my digestion. And this is just what I explored by being in this lifestyle for now, like more than about 30 years now. I have just over time needed to adjust here and there and, finding out what works best for me at this moment in time. Also, I'm in a cold climate. And yes, if I would live in the tropics, I would probably definitely be most likely 100% raw, but it's so cold here in the winter, and it's been really challenging just to, like, salads is not satisfying for me in the summer. In the winter, I need something a little dense, and that has worked for me. So I'm just sharing what has worked for me, and thank you so much for being open.
Thank you, Sabina. Chris, you lived in Canada before. You are now living in Sweden. So you have the same issue of the winter. What would you recommend to people who find that a huge disadvantage? You need to unmute yourself first, Chris.
Thank you. Sorry with that. Yeah, it's really interesting because there are a lot of different perspectives, and there's a lot of different preferences, and different things can take a while to get used to and figure out. And, I used to find raw food in the winter a little bit more challenging. These days, honestly, I can be 100% honest. I don't find any difference if I'm in the Arctic, because I've actually worked in the Arctic, or in Canada when it's minus 40 or 55. I've been in minus 65 before. It's crazy. Or sorry, minus 55. My hometown got to minus 65 once Celsius. Or if I'm in the tropics, like I actually prefer to be a raw foodist in a temperate climate. I live in Sweden now, rather than the tropics. I find the tropics a little bit too hot, especially for my athleticism. Like I love skateboarding. I love to be really active, but there are many different aspects of it. I find there are really different aspects in it. Some of it is perspective. Like I used to have a hard time in the winter because I felt like I was cooped up and I couldn't get outside and do the fun things that I loved. And so from a mental, emotional state, I was just like, I'm missing out. This sucks. I want to be outside. And that created discord in my body and my mind. And I wasn't as happy and I wasn't as active. And so that led to lower levels of health. But when I kind of shifted that perspective to like, I get to cozy up more, I get to do more indoor activities, and I get to go to the gym and focus on other aspects of my fitness. I get to explore more recipes and try different things. Then that all of a sudden started shifting for me. And in the lull months, because sometimes like there's the January, February kind of period, and it gets a little bit less abundant in terms of really high quality produce. And that used to really bum me out too. I'd be like, like 2 months where bananas are big, like sure, I had the persimmons all the way up into the fall and the early winter and stuff like that. But now it's like, it's like bananas that aren't quite as good, and citrus and, salads and stuff like that. And that was a bit of a downer for me for a while, but I found seasonally as I went through it multiple years, one, every season has its reason, and slowing down and simplifying. And I found that I simplified my fruit meals, maybe brought in some frozen stuff, but then I concentrated on bringing a little bit of different variety and a little bit more hearty dishes. I really like to make kind of hearty veggie dishes. So I actually, similar, I don't eat a lot of salads. I do have a salad beside me, but more often I actually end up eating curries and stews and stuff like that, all raw, using different techniques. Like sometimes I'll use a dehydrator, not a ton. Sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes I use what some Dr. Rick Dina and Lissa from Raw Food Romance, they lovingly called this technique Kendallizing, where I'll take heartier vegetables like cauliflower or broccoli or even onions, stuff like that, cabbages, and I'll cut them into bite-sized portions and freeze them. And the water crystals in the food, especially if it's fresh and water-rich, expand and rupture the cell wall to some degree, or at least the fibers, and partially break it down, actually making it more digestible and freeing up some of the nutrients and slowing the enzymatic process. So when I want to thaw it out and have it in a dish, I can either put it in the dehydrator, put it on the counter, or run it under clean, warm water and then throw it in a dish. So when I do stuff like that, like, have a cauliflower, partially dehydrated mushroom, and maybe some sprouted lentil or sprouted chickpea curry with a nice rich curry sauce, I feel so freaking, like, it feels so hearty and delicious. And sometimes that can help me get through a time where I want something a little bit more fancy. But I also find that typically in the wintertime, you need a little bit more calories because, unless you keep your house really, really warm, you're generally, most people's houses are just a tad bit cooler during the winter, and it requires more thermal energy to maintain your body temperature, and that requires more calories. So I generally find people end up needing a couple hundred more calories in the wintertime, and it's kind of interesting because I definitely believe we are tropical beings, and there are many ways in which we thrive in the tropics, and with really, really fresh tree dropped fruit and stuff like that. That's going to be optimal in many, many ways. But we don't really live outside, at least not most people. When we're in cold environments, we're creating a natural tropical environment in our house with our clothing when we jump into our car. So I find that if I want to go outside and spend lots of time outside, I dress accordingly. If I feel cold, I dress accordingly, or otherwise I get more exercise. And the exercise, the more muscle mass we carry, the more heat we are going to be able to generate in our body as well. So yeah, it's just an interesting one because I genuinely have come to a place, and it took like a while, but maybe it was my first 7 or so years raw that I kind of felt like I was missing out when I was in the cold in the winter. And I tried to travel the winter as much as I could, which I still like to. I love to break up the winter and, go to the tropics and surf a little bit and get some really good sunshine, get that vitamin D, and get some extra fresh tropical fruits when there is the opportunity and when there's a bit of a lull. But I've also had multiple seasons where I am just, in Canada or in Sweden here, or otherwise in a less than tropical place. And now it's just like same,
Phil, do you find for you, Phil, that you prefer being in the tropics too? And do you also believe, as some people do, that we are tropical beings?
Sorry, Doree, I missed the beginning. I lost your voice there for a minute.
Yeah. So do you prefer being in the tropics, or do you believe, like so many people do, that we are tropical beings? We belong in the tropics.
Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, we're tropical beings, aren't we? Right. And we need the sun, and we need the fresh fruit. But I'm with Chris. I like the seasons. If I can get a chance to go away and, reiterating really what he said, if I get a chance to go away in the winter, January, February time, and have some fresh fruit and some sun and play in the sea and go for walks, great. But I know for me, I'm a bit too English, really. I miss our countryside. And when I was with Gabriel in the desert, because we were 3,500 meters in the mountains in the desert, and I really missed the greenery And even though there I did see some seasons, but yeah, I missed the greenery. So I do like the winter to a less or a greater extent. It depends what I'm doing. I love getting the wood burner on. I create a bain-marie on top of our wood burner, which is basically a bowl of water with a bowl inside it, and then I make us a curry, and I put the curry in the bowl, and I put the bowl on top of the wood burner, and I warm it through. You've got to keep your eye on it and keep your finger in it and just keep testing the temperature of it. But I find that for me, I've only just started doing that really the last 2 or 3 years, and actually it's really nice to make pad thai or various different curries and things with fresh vegetables. Yes, it's really great, and it's really fun, and it really helps the winter go through. And I think with Chris the same, most of us keep our houses slightly cooler, and we do need some more calories, or denser food. So I might put some coconut in my curries, because that adds a bit of extra fat, and it gives that density without having any corrupted oils. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I find it interesting that most people in this community think that we are tropical beings. I have lived in the tropics and I couldn't stand it. I wanted out, and quickly. Now I loved the fruits. I just wanted to move and bring the fruits with me, and the trees for the fruits grew on. So I'm not too sure that that's true. I've lived a lot in Canada. I went to University of Montreal. I used to go cross-country. I took up cross-country skiing when it got really cold, fell in love with it. I was overheated cross-country skiing. So when I felt that I needed to just warm up, I would just go cross-country skiing, and that did it for me. I'm a movement therapist, and I'm big on movement. And I found the more movement I do, it doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I love winter. I love snow. I love the seasons. And the minute I start getting warm in the summer, if I don't have watermelon in the fridge, and I don't mean outside of the fridge, I'm a miserable person, because I don't like the tropics. I find there are too many bugs. It's too hot. I am constantly feeling like I'm about to melt, and I don't like that feeling at all. So I think we're all different beings, and we all, have different needs. And some of the needs, I think, have been thrown at us, all these photographs of palm trees and all these things, and people doing the luau and what things like that. It may look really fancy schmancy, but I cannot stand summer. Now, because I mainly eat fruits, then for me, I just glide over summer now. I as long as I can get my hands on some fruit, I'm fine with summer now. However, I don't think the Living Foods community has really thought about the fact that we don't need external heat. The heat comes from within. And that's what I teach. The heat is what you're missing. It comes from within. So for this bundle, I actually did something differently, because so many people have asked me for the longest time to do salads. I don't really eat salads, except for an Israeli salad, which I love. But normally I don't eat salads. So I actually, for this bundle, I did create a book of salads. Actually, I wanted to call it the Book of Salads, but this one was really different salads, not the normal salads people usually eat. Lettuce and kale and spinach. I'm not into that stuff at all. I'm into the stuff that grows wild, the stuff that actually in the United States has been suppressed for a lot of years. So I'm into purslane. I'm into sparadillo. I'm into a lot of things like stinging nettle that people don't know of. And this is what this book is about, introducing them to things that for salads that they've never used, because the nutritional value is so deep, very deep nutrition in these. And so this is one of the offerings in the actual bundle this year. And I started out with 20 of them and it ballooned to more. That's why I ended up with 20 plus. I didn't have time to count it. I know that the bundle needed this book from me quickly, and I was working with a graphic artist, and it's like, I just forget about counting them. I'm just going to put plus sign on it. And this is great because it helps me to add more afterwards whenever I want. And the reason why I did this is because so many people, I think, look to food to warm them or cool them off, but it's really an internal job. And again, looking externally never does it. So this bundle I really, really like because it has so many different things in it that we really have no idea how much these things really affect us and how much food there is out there, how many items there are out there for food that we didn't even realize existed. Things that grow in the cracks in the sidewalk, things that grow in your backyard that in the United States now called weeds. And the fertilizer company does not like that we eat it. And that's why it was taken out of the food supply in the United States. So I get mine from farmers who are very, shall we say, adventurous and go against what they're being told to grow. And they will grow these things. They don't grow them because these plants seed themselves. They don't even need to be watered. They are indigenous to the areas in which they grow. And so we don't really need to be going to markets and supermarkets and buying these things. They are all around us. They are everywhere. And I think it's very important for us to start foraging, but you need to know how to forage. And in the book, I do speak about taking courses wild foragers. Sabina, do you wild forage where you live? You need to unmute yourself, Sabina. As for some, it didn't work.
Yes, I actually love foraging, and I love you brought that up because I don't really, the greens in the store that come from California, they're shipped, they're often a week old and they don't have many nutrients. So I totally believe picking your own nutrients right from your backyard. And in my garden, I have like a lot of greens. There's dandelion growing, plantain, sometimes you find nettle, horsetail, there's all kinds of stuff growing. So right now I'm making a shot every day with dandelion and plantain, and I add a little bit of cucumber in, so it's not so bitter. It's like my green shot I take every day, and it actually feels really energizing. And we have mushrooms growing, wild mushrooms here in the forest. You can find, there's all kinds of stuff. I haven't spent a lot of time, but what I find in my garden, you can actually use the dandelion flowers and put them in a salad and eat them. But I love the idea you pick something fresh right there, something that grows in nature and is not, even touched by man, that comes from the earth. Mother Nature created and keeps coming every year, which is nice, So I love all of that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sabina. And Chris, you can be found on Instagram at this, our Raw Advantage here. Where else can people find you and the cat?
You can find me and Snoo everywhere at the Raw Advantage. Yeah, you can. Instagram is probably one of my my absolute most prolific spots where I generally share multiple stories per day and share my goings on. And I am also on YouTube, the Raw Advantage. My website, therawadvantage.com, is my main hub, of course, which has all of my different social media connected to it and blog posts going back to 2009 and all my offerings. I think that's probably the easiest way. I mean, I could just say the Raw Advantage everywhere, but my website kind of points towards that. I got a free app on there too, and all that fun stuff, and links to events and festivals and all that good stuff too.
And could you also speak about what it is that really drives you, because you're a professional skateboarder, so you're an athlete. Also, Herb is an athlete. He's a professional cyclist. So I'm going to come to you afterwards with this same thing. What drives you when you're among other athletes who absolutely do not even know that this lifestyle exists? When you all go out together, because I'm sure sometimes you get invited to go out together, what drives you to continue on this path? And what do you see is the difference between you and those other athletes when you do come together?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when we do come together, it's just camaraderie, like shared enthusiasm and lust for like pushing ourselves and pushing each other and having each other's back and, um, just having an amazing time and like living in the moment with presence, and, um, I think that's also just what drives me. Like it's Nirvana, man. It's- it puts you in the moment. It's just like fully in the moment. You can't be anywhere else when you're doing something that is pretty challenging, and it just teaches resilience and perseverance, and it's a fun challenge to push up against. I just love skateboarding. I just love the community. It's just like the raw food community. There's just no judgment and love and support. And I mean, yeah, sure, there's within any community, there's a little bit of that somewhere maybe, but for the most part, it's like I don't remember life before skateboarding. It's been such a big part of my life since before, like once I could walk pretty much. I remember starting on my knee and then getting into it. And yeah, it's just awesome. I just love it.
Thank you for that, Chris. Herb, same question to you.
Exactly what Chris said. It's heaven. It's like Nirvana. The feeling experience when you're fueled on fruit, high carbohydrate, low fat, your performance is just on another level. The experience, that presence you have within, it's a beautiful place to be. And if you ever deviate from that, incorporate more dense things, more stuff that's higher fat, that's impacted. So that's instant feedback to me, and why I stayed. One of the many reasons that I stayed on this path, because my performance was amazing, my recovery was amazing, how I felt I could do way more than most. I've shared many times on here before that before I went high fruit vegan over 11 years ago, I was bedridden with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, no athletic background whatsoever. I was always picked last at school and PE. And then it's purely out of compassion for the animals that I went vegan and incorporated more fruit into my life than I ever did before, and got on the bike, simple bike, just for some light exercise to get the body moving, because I've been stagnant for a long time. And then within 3 years being a high carb fruit eating vegan, I become this immense athlete that just blew everyone out of the water. I had many people inviting me to join them on bike rides with them, and I felt like I had a point to prove, because there's this great big notion that you can't do things as a vegan, things like that. And I was like, right, I've got a point to make. And I was punishing people in a nice way, people that weren't vegan and that would kind of take the mick out of me. So I'd put them through a difficult place physically on the bike, and yeah, just that feeling just felt amazing in a nice way. And yeah, I just grew and started racing, competing, and yeah, I had a terrible time with injuries, real dark experience in life. One of the lowest points, but it was a beautiful time as well, because it led me onto the fruit and being completely raw, cut out all cooked food and processed food. And I had a miraculous recovery from living on fruit, and that alone just made me excel into other areas of life. I started running as well to help get over this injury, because I couldn't ride my bike as hard as I could do. And yeah, hitting PBs every week. And again, if I incorporated, say, something like more avocados or something, I just feel sluggish. My performance was dropped as well. And I have a power meter as well on the bike that measures your power output by watts, and that would be significantly lower. My endurance wouldn't be as good. So it's constant feedback, and it's the same whether you don't even have to be an athlete to be on this lifestyle. I think if you're a parent, you're an athlete because you're running around with your children constantly, or you're working on your feet all day long. For me, you're active, and it serves the same purpose, 80-10-10, which we've been talking about. It gives you that constant natural energy, and the recovery is great. And something I like to touch on winter as well, that I didn't get to share, that I like to share. I've had some of my best years thriving as a fruitarian in winter, living on melons, barley melons, persimmons, lychees, oranges, having a real variety of fruit. The key for me, because I get asked this question a lot, how do you survive winter, is eat enough and move. If you're moving more, exercising more, you're going to create an appetite, and then with an appetite, you're going to eat more healthier, more fruit, and notice and feel the difference. I'm in shorts all year round as well. I do like snow angels in the snow whenever it snows. And this year, yeah, it's been like 8 years now for me, raw fruitarian. And this year is the first time that I got some sunshine in another country. I went to Morocco with Pete in February, and it does make a difference. Having that sunshine really does make a difference. But yeah, for me, it comes down to how I feel. Like I mentioned, having that feedback from exercise, having lots and lots of fruit, high carb, low fat, just makes a world of difference. And that's what sustains and nourishes me. And I really do feel that it is applicable for everyone if we go through the process and stick with it and make the right choices.
Thank you so much for that. And Phil, you have a very active lifestyle because you are a builder. So
Yeah.
can you come in on this? With a very active lifestyle, how do you feel that this way of life, of eating and it being your lifestyle, how do you feel that actually augments your career or detracts from it?
Well, in the construction industry, we're quite prone to accidents and injuries. And the thing, I spoke to you about this before in one of the other podcasts about the ability, I find the ability for me to bounce. I'm 56 and I still bounce, which is, it's amazing. When you can fall and bounce, you're doing something right. And if I do get an injury, I recover ever so quickly. Cuts clear up. One of the things I've found that's really interesting is I don't bleed much. If I have like I said, I had a head injury last September, and that was quite a big thing. And when the blood first came and filled my glasses up, I was like, no, this is serious. So I went and leant over the wash hand basin in the house I was in and rinsed it off, and then I grabbed a t-shirt and stuck a t-shirt over my head, and literally within 3 or 4 minutes the blood had stopped. And it's just like, wow. So I'm always really grateful because the recovery time, which is what I say to people that run or lift weights or whatever it is, the recovery time is incredible. And energy wise, I fill my day. I can dig holes all day long, and that's one of the things that I've done on my Instagram post actually is, I videoed some really, really tough work, and then at the end it's just like, and this was powered on fruit.
Wonderful, powered by fruit. Thank you for that, Sabina. It's not just the physical work; it's also the mental and the emotional that this lifestyle really assists with. Can you just quickly, we have like 2 minutes left, so one for you, and then we're going to end with Chris for the last minute. How has that assisted you mentally and emotionally?
Absolutely. I definitely notice that my mind is still sharp and it's still clear, and I can focus, long time on things. And also it helps you definitely get more emotionally balanced. That's for sure. And I think in general, you can witness yourself better. You just become more aware when maybe some old pattern likes to kick in or some negative thought. You can catch it more easily. The brain is sharpened. That's for sure on the raw vegan lifestyle. And the body is also more flexible. I still do splits. I do a lot of very advanced yoga exercises, and my body is more flexible now than I was when I was 20.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Chris, I'm so glad you were able to make it here today with us. And just about 10 seconds, what would you like to leave us with?
I feel so blessed to be a part of this group, this community, to meet everyone here today and hear everyone's expansiveness and the things that they've accomplished with a healthy raw food diet and how it's helped them. And just to be championing this myself too, it's just such an honor and pleasure. Thank you so much, Dory.
Thank you. And I would like to leave. Thank you, Chris. I'd like to leave with a word of congratulations to Chris for creating this bundle, and to Melissa. And I don't know if we have time to play it, but I wanted to play from Melissa, actually. She actually sent me her, and we don't have time to play it. Thanks so very much, everybody. I'll play it next week, but the bundle will be gone by the 11th of May. So bye, everyone.